Sarah James.
Hi, honey.
Welcome to Rebel Roots. I'm so happy to have you on the show today.
I'm excited.
I was just thinking about our friendship, and it's been 13 years.
That's crazy.
And do you know why I love you?
Why do you love me?
Because we're Capricorns.
True. We're not the same kind of Capricorn.
We are
but
not
we
the
are.
same type of Capricorn, but we're Capricorns that get along.
We are.
Yeah. I have a lot of Capricorns in my life.
We have a lot in our friend group.
I was going back to the first time that I met you, and can I say what we called you back then? Because we didn't even know you, but man,
Yes.
you you are the sweetest, most supportive woman that I ever know. But you got a bad rep in the gym.
Wow.
Because you were so cute. You had a fine booty. And so we called you Flossy Butt Cheeks because you were always posing in the mirrors, looking at your butt during squats.
Or lack thereof.
I know. Later on, I found out that that's, what you thought. But
Right.
we all thought that it was hot. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you would come over to the cafe. All my friends are in the cafe. But came over to the cafe and you always ordered a turkey burger.
Yes. I love me a burger. And that was the closest I could get to staying on, somewhat of my prep food when I was doing bodybuilding. So, yeah.
And I think all of us dieted so much during our friendship. So for us to actually stay friends during all of our prep that we did for bodybuilding, that just shows that we're even more resilient than what I thought.
Exactly.
All right. So for my guests who don't know who you are,
Okay.
give us the rundown.
Oh, who am I? I'm Sarah Brown, and I don't know. Give me a
Tell me who you
more
were
basic
growing up.
question. Okay.
Growing up in school.
All right. So I grew up a military brat. My dad was in the Marine Corps. I was born at Camp Lejeune at the Naval Hospital. Lived in Japan for 3.5 years. Loved it out there. Moved back to Jacksonville. And then I was there from 3rd grade until I graduated. And then actually moved to Wilmington and went to cosmetology school. I was accepted to UNCW, but had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. So I figured I love doing hair. I've always done everyone's hair in the neighborhood, everybody on the cheerleading squad, everybody on the bus in elementary school on our way to school. Because back in those long country roads, you were on the bus for like an hour and a half. Yes.
The bus rides.
Yes. So it was something I was good at and I liked doing, but never thought about actually career in that.
So if you were going to go UNCW, what were you going to go for?
I didn't know.
You didn't know it at all?
No. So that's why I was like, okay, well,
what made you apply then?
It's what you do. You're in high school and it's like, you
applied
got to
for
go to college. And I was pretty smart, believe it or not. I know, academically. And so I really screwed off my freshman year. I was kind of in my emo phase and recovered, bounced back, wanted to kick butt and just do really good in school so I could go to a good university. And then I got accepted. And I was like, I don't really actually know what I want to do. I followed somebody for dental. I thought about being a psychiatrist and then they, I feel like they just kind of figure out what crazy you are, stick that label on you, give you some drugs and send you on your way. And I didn't really feel like that was helpful. So the best of both worlds is being a cosmetologist because you get to make people feel amazing and beautiful, be their ear. Most of the time people don't actually want an answer. They just want to vent, so it's kind of, it's a good job and you get to just be a part of something in so many different types of people and their families and cry with them, laugh with them, all that. So my plan was to just do that while I figured out what I wanted to do. And then I'd go back to school.
Can we give a shout out to Hooters?
And Hooters. Hooters kept me making that cheddar while I was in college.
Okay.
Yes. And so I'd work the patio because I went to school from 8 in the morning till 6 at night, Monday through Friday. So it's hard to work outside of that schedule. So I would do patio during the week, and then on the weekends I'd work regular shifts, sometimes doubles, and I traveled with them a lot. I did a lot of bikini contests with them. I did some
didn't know all
bikini.
that.
Oh yeah, so I made a lot of money actually just doing, even in town. If they had a bikini night anywhere, I would do it, and I would make $500 to $1,000 in a night. So
Okay.
I was hustling.
Hooters provided. I'm
Hooters
impressed.
didn't do well. Hooters, I made about 500 to 1,000 too if I was doing a
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
So you graduate. When did you meet Casey?
So I was in Wilmington for a few years. Met a horrible guy who, just was not good. He cheated on me with like one of my good friends. Took my money, trashed my house, roughed me up a little here and there. And you never are going to be that girl. Like, you're too strong. Like, you would never put yourself in that position. And then all of a sudden you're that girl. And so for me, I knew if I stayed in Wilmington, I would never be able to get rid of him. Because if you ask me something more than 3 times, I will cave, usually. And he was very persistent. So I kept letting him in. And finally I was like, okay, if I move back to Jacksonville and stay with my family for like 3 months, he won't be able to couch hop anymore, and he'll have to move back to Hickory, which is very far. He's not going to come back and forth. He didn't have a job. Like, it would have been, he'd be out. So that was my plan. But during that time, I met my husband, and he was actually bouncing at my friend's bar, Archie's, and I thought he looked cute. He was kind of side-eyeballing me, but not really like hitting on me. And so I thought it was like, I'm like, oh, he's cute. So I asked if he was gay or married. He said no. So I slipped him my phone number, and about a month later he called me. And
A month?
Yep. He had a girlfriend.
Oh.
Not really at the time. They were like breaking up, but he is a loyal man. So he waited to make sure things were like fully done before he called me.
And so you stayed in Wilmington?
So no. So I stayed in Jacksonville.
Okay.
Because that's when I went back to Jacksonville.
So you met him in Jacksonville? Because he's a Marine too.
Yeah, he was a Marine during that time. Or once a Marine, always a Marine. But, at that time he was actually bartending because he had an ex who, he deployed. She spent all of his money, cheated on him, all the horrible stuff. So we came together and we trauma bonded. And I think that's what initially, was kind of like our relationship was. Nothing serious, but enjoying each other's company, but not wanting to be hurt again, that kind of vibe. And but then we were married in like 9 months from that point. So,
and then you started hopping again because he got deployed.
So then we went to California.
Okay. Was that the only place that you guys lived outside of Wilmington? Mm-hmm. Okay.
He did 2 deployments to Iraq right before I met him. And it's funny because he was at Archie's, my friend's bar. He got let go for some scuffle not too long after that. I never saw him again there. So it's like right place, right time. I would have never, like if he wouldn't have called me, I would have never seen him again. Because the whole reason he was there was trying to make back money from this crazy ex, spending all of his money, putting everything in his name. And he was just trying to bring his debt down. So, very serendipitous.
So you guys get married 9 months.
9 months, yeah.
You're in California.
Go to California. Have our first son.
Okay. I thought he was in California.
Yep. And that was kind of crazy because we were so far away from family and friends. But it was also pretty awesome because we didn't have everybody in our ears telling us, like, no, you got to do it this way. Well, they say, and da-da-da-da-da. So we got to ask when we wanted somebody's opinion and otherwise, figure it out by ourselves. So that was pretty cool.
How long did you stay in California?
4 years. 3.5, 4 years.
And then you moved back to Wilmington? Or?
Yep. He decided to get out. So originally he was going to stay in, retire from the military. And at this point, everything kind of went a different direction in the military. They wanted to, make less people in the military. And so you can't just fire people. You have to force them out. So you can either make it not desirable for them to reenlist, or if they don't get a certain rank by a certain time of being in, then they can't reenlist. And so, you know, he had done really good. He's been meritoriously promoted, all this other stuff. But, you know, he had a lot of tattoos. The new person who came in decided like they were going to be weird with that. And you can't get any additional ones that are bigger than a certain, I don't know. It just got stupid. And then his MOS wasn't doing any promotions. And so he was working higher ranks and not getting paid for it. You know, so it's like maybe
so
he should
this
get
like
out.
2012 then?
No, this was like 2008 when this,
Okay.
like 2008, 9, 10. This is when it was like going kind of, maybe he doesn't want to stay in anymore. And so we were going to move to LA, and I was going to get more into, you know, modeling, acting, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And he got an offer at like some gym there, and they liked that he was military and, you know, this whole boot camp style training, all this stuff. And when we went up there to look at houses and like go to interviews and stuff, it just sucked. Like, you'd think the traffic in Wilmington is bad. It is horrendous there. And we were late for everything. We were like, okay, if we want our son to ride a bike and feel comfortable, we'll have to move 30, 45 minutes out of the city. But with traffic, that's even more time. It's like, okay, how is our quality of life going to look if we stay here, you know? And we were like, nah, he's from Iowa, tiny town in Iowa. Again, I grew up, you know, in military families, your community is huge, you know, because sometimes the military parent is not there. So you really lean on other families, and you grow up with these people, even if you move away from them. But, you know, we didn't want our son to not have that same kind of, you know, running out of the house, going riding his bike, you know, slipping, sliding through ditches when it rains. It doesn't rain there very much, but you know what I mean? Like all that stuff. So we were like, I was kind of joking on our way home, and I was like, yeah, so you want to go back to North Carolina? We always liked Wilmington. We could move there, thinking he'd be like, absolutely not. But he was like, yeah, I think we should do it. So we called my parents on our way home and told them we were coming back, and they were, you know, elated. So yeah, he got out, and we moved back east.
So this was when we met then?
Yep. And then we met we met when we, like, August of 2012.
When we met though, you were already competing. So when did you get into that then?
Okay. So Casey has always been like into bodybuilding as far as like a fan of it. You know, loved Arnold, loved Pumping Iron. We watched it all the time, especially when it was like season for competitions, and we would watch that. He always, like, you know, it wasn't the same then. There weren't coaches unless you were like a top echelon athlete. There weren't posing coaches. Like, you didn't really know all the ins and outs of it. So
hardcore back then.
Oh yeah. So he was like, you know, I'm like, you should do a show. You're like so into this. Why don't you just do a show? And so I think 6 days after I had CJ, we went to a show, and that was also the first time I ever saw the bikini division, because that was not a thing either. And I was like, now that I could get down with. Like, I like that look, you know, and I'm tiny. I'm a very small person. So, like, I didn't want to be, one, it's very hard for me to even gain muscle and weight, period. So I had to be realistic about what I wanted to do and not, you know, take a whole bunch of gear and all that. So I was like, I want you to train me, which also is, you know, when your trainer lives with you, you can't get away with anything. And you kind of want to strangle them when they're like, are you really going to eat that? It's like, but, you know, I asked him to do it, and he's just doing right by me. So, but yeah, so my first show, he started training me at that point, and I did a flex model search in
I forgot about
Santa Monica. So that was my first show, but it was not like NPC or any organization ordained. It was with a pro bodybuilding show. So we met a bunch of people at that show. And then I decided that I would do the what was it called then? The Gold's Classic
Here in Wilmington.
when we moved here. So, yep.
And then you went on to go get your pro card.
Yes. So I did that show, and then I waited a year. So next summer I did Junior USA's, and I think I got 5th. And then I did Team U, which is now the
Charleston.
Universe. Well, Charleston is Junior USA's, and then New Jersey is Team U. I think they just call it the Universe now.
That's right.
But I did that one, and I got 3rd. So 1 away from my pro card. And then the next year, did those same 2 shows. I got 3rd at the first one, and then I won my class.
You actually missed my wedding.
I did.
You missed my wedding because you were getting your pro card that night.
I did. And I wanted all those yummy Oreos and donuts and everything that you had.
I know. We had pizza, Oreos, Krispy Kreme cake.
Yes.
Yeah. So you get your pro card, come back. And what happened after that?
It's such a weird thing because when you have like a goal, and you know more than anyone,
I know,
because you're a huge.
That's why I'm asking.
You are a huge goal setter, and you live by setting goals and attacking them and making new ones, and you're a go-getter. So when you set your sight on something, and so much of it goes into it, and then you get it, it's almost like, now what? Even though you still have so many more, like, now I'm a pro. Now I competed as a pro.
And you think like this whole opportunity is going to open, and like, I'm a pro.
Right.
But how many got pro that year? Like probably hundreds.
I have no idea. I mean, it was different than now, but it was also still newer. So they were, they needed more competitors. But
sponsored by, who was your sponsor?
Sponsored by Optimum Nutrition and ABB.
Okay.
So that was awesome. Like nowadays, they don't even do it.
That got ruined.
Like that. No, like, I mean, I had, not only did everything get covered for my shows, like my fees, my flights, my hotel, I got $500 a month wholesale in supplements. And then Casey ended up getting sponsored as well. So then we could have had a store. You know what I mean? We had so many supplements given to us. And then when we did shows, when we worked like the Olympia, the Arnold, all of that, we got paid for that. With everything else being paid for, they'd take us out to nice fancy restaurants, and it was just like open credit card. And near the end of all of this, like, it started being like, oh, here's a select menu. Oh, here's, all the lavishness kind of started to dwindle down.
Because it just got out of control.
Oh, I'm sure. There were some people who were like, I want one of every entree and every dessert. Like, they'd get a little ridiculous, But it was such a cool time. And we did have our son, CJ, and he'd come and we'd make it little family vacations. We'd travel to the shows, to the expos. People knew him because at that time, a lot of kids did not go to these,
Right.
And, he just thought it was so cool. He knew how to look at the back of labels and like, oh, well, there's a lot of carbs in here and blah, 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 the protein, like he well, if that is because of fiber, you can subtract,
Right.
So,
but now look at him, how he is.
Right. Yeah.
So you like embedded that into him, which I think was awesome.
And he enjoyed it, where Weston is more like, oh my God, I'm so bored, like totally different kid. Yeah.
It's funny how same household, 2 different attitudes in there.
Yes.
So remind me, did you compete at Olympia?
Yes. So pro, I don't remember
I
what
remember
year
if you did
it
Arnold
was.
or Olympia.
I
remember the jacket.
I did the Olympia. So I won the Charlotte Europa, and I think that's the last year they actually had that. Now they have a pro show in Charlotte, but it's not the Europa anymore. And I went and did that one, and I won, and they said, you're going to the Olympia, and I'm like, oh my goodness, which is, like the Super Bowl of that sport. So that was awesome. But then it had also been years of us doing this, and that was kind of like my peak. I'm done. I want this to be my last stage that I am on, and I want to have another baby. And so that was kind of
and
like,
I talked you out of it.
Yeah, she tried.
I tried to talk you out of the second child.
Yes.
I was like, what are you thinking? 10 years apart.
Right. And because we had finally gotten to a point where he was old enough to kind of take care of himself.
You were going to live life.
I could, yeah. And you're like, are you kidding me? Like, you don't need a babysitter. You finally can like do things and you're going to start all over again.
Now I kick myself because now we don't have employees to hire. And I'm like, I told everyone not to have more kids. So I totally kicked myself in the ass on that one.
Look what you did.
We were just talking a minute ago and I told you like there's two things that we need to talk about. And one is with Casey. And I think you are an amazing couple and have dealt with a lot. And I'm just going to let you tell them out there what you've dealt with.
Well,
it's been a lot. And the second part of that, with that, I'm not saying it's been a lot, but I feel like this time and age, people just peace out.
Right. And when it gets a little
you also have a very big belief in faith. And I even told you, it's like, that's what makes you an awesome friend because you know, like us girls will go do something. You're like, no. Kind of like a psychic. And you're like, that's not what I believe in. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, just come have fun. You're like, no, like that's, so I find that very, like, I look up to you on that because you don't stray away from those two things. And I think that kind of goes into with Casey too.
Right. So we both grew up in the church. In our early marriage, we did not go to church together. We didn't read the Bible very much. You know, I still prayed and everything like that, but we were not deep in our faith. Again, we were two very broken people when we got married and babies. We were 21 and 22. So like we had to grow up together, but being in the military, going on 2 combat tours and, you know, seeing some of the things that he saw while he was there, watching his friends die. And even if they didn't die there, coming back and them not being able to acclimate or, you know, losing their family because they couldn't stick with them. And they're like, you're just, I don't even know you anymore. And instead of working through that with them, you know, like leaving them, then them committing suicide or even they come back, like they were in the line of fire perfectly fine, came back home and then get in a motorcycle accident and die. But like just dealing with so much of that. And again, him being so young, definitely had an impact when he shared with his ex about trying to kind of get some kind of, you know, it's your wife. You want to be able to talk about things. And she told him he was sick and demented. And why would she share that with him? And just, you know, so that they already feel kind of screwed up in the head. Right. And that is not helpful.
No. So
it's hard because you're taught to separate, you know, you have to compartmentalize things, but then it's hard to not do that in a relationship or not be harsh or, you know, a big thing with PTSD too is it usually doesn't make sense. It's not like everybody, I think, thinks like, oh, a loud sound and then they're going to freak out, you know, like, which does happen, but that is not like the extent of it. It could be something so simple happens and then they react in such a way that is like so far removed from what actually happened. And then other times you could be like, oh God, they're going to freak out. And you tell them something and they're like, oh, it's okay. Everything. So it's like, you never know what you're going to get. You don't know. And especially with people, they don't know how to reach out or they don't think there's something wrong or they don't, guys especially, they don't want to go talk to somebody. They don't want to be told they're this, that, or the other. You know, they don't feel comfortable talking to somebody who doesn't understand too. That's another thing. Like, how is somebody who hasn't been through what they've been through going to sit there and tell them how they should act or react?
What do you think that you do, like, for someone out there who was dealing with this? What was your go-to, or did you figure it out a long way, or what is it now? How you
honestly, our faith, lots of prayers. I mean, I've been praying for a breakthrough for over 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. I don't know. We're going on we're at 16 years of being together. And I also was very combative, you know, and I didn't want to be, you know, I came out of an abusive relationship. So like the second he gets a certain way, then I'm coming back at him. So we were kind of, you know, in the beginning. Right.
Yeah.
And so, but then as we got older and we did recognize each other's hurt and the different things that we've gone through, then it's kind of like you have to be able to have conversations and understand. And that's one thing with both of us. We made a promise. We do believe marriage, you know, all the things that you say, better, worse, sickness, health, death do you part, like, and you're saying that you promise to keep that commitment. Like, it's not just words to either of us. That's something that we both will always try to work at. So no matter how hard everything would get at certain points, whether it be me or him, our commitment was greater. And you have to swallow your pride a lot in that to make it work.
And keep your mouth shut sometimes.
Yes.
And just process it and don't respond.
Yes.
Think it's not a reaction.
Exactly.
All right. Rebel roots.
Rebel roots.
Tell me what you're a rebel about. Final words.
Oh, a rebel about. I mean, I've always kind of went to my own kind of beating my own drum, you know. I don't really care about what anybody thinks about how I live my life. My faith, like you were talking about, like that is my first priority, and then my family. And I will love and be a good friend to anybody who, you know, appreciates that. If I can't give them enough because those are my priorities, then sucks. But that's how it is. And I do feel like, you know, you've asked me questions throughout our relationship about, you know, like, well, couldn't you do this, or could you have more time, or blah, 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 or can you go on this girls trip, or, you know, different things. But you've always been respectful when I've explained to you what matters to me.
There's always that chance. You might say yes.
And I appreciate that because I've had people throughout the
dieters
years
too. We always got like no one ever asked us, but there is that chance that you may say yes. So I'm always going to ask you.
And I love that. Because what ends up happening is you say no so many times, then people stop inviting you to things because they're like, oh, she ain't never going to go.
You're going to say yes one day.
I will. For you.
I love you.
I love you.
Tell the listeners that are watching where they can find you.
Instagram is XOXO Sarah JB. Super classy. And yeah, that's it. My Facebook's
and she's
more
booked up,
private.
so you're not going to get a hair appointment.
Oh yeah, no.
No new clients.
Mm-mm.
And you can find me both on Facebook and Instagram at Yvonne Verdi. Also, go check out V&V Farms if you're looking to host a wedding, an event, or any other special occasions. We'll take care of you. Till the next episode. See you later.